Guy Torry is a comedian, actor, writer, brother, son, uncle. What else do you do, man? Promoter.
Not a father, that's for sure.
You're not a father.
No, I've been called daddy before, though.
And it's good to have him on. What's going on, man?
Hey, man, a lot of this and that, and this, man, you know, chit-chatting, chewing the fat, talk about this and that. It's all good.
But
a lot of stuff.
Unsung on TV1 is doing an Unsung episode on you and Joe, your brother Joe, also a comedian, and that airs, what's that, Wednesday night?
Yeah, Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday night.
November
and then
9th?
again on Friday, so yeah.
And then again on Friday, I'll come on again?
Here's Wednesday, though.
Okay, I got you. Now, did they approach you guys to do this?
You know what? Tony Wiley, you know Tony Wiley, former PR guy for the Rams and the Titans and the Texans, now with the Redskins. He's the one who actually called me up and was telling me about it because, you know, he does some PR for me sometimes. And, you know, I didn't want to do it, actually. He had to talk me into doing it. Because at first I'm like, you know, the Unsungs they normally do is about, you know, somebody that's been a crackhead or they've been in jail and stuff like that. And that's never been my story or even Joe's story. I mean, Joe probably was a crackhead. But a weed head, one of them, same thing. So I was like, man, why can't they do it together? I mean, why can't they do it separately? They wanted to do it together, the Torry brothers. I'm like, man, I don't want to do one with my brother. I want to do it. Do his separate, do mine separate.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't want to do it. But then Tony Wiley kind of talked me into it, as well as Keita Williams, who represents me sometime, you know, for public relations.
Right.
And she did Johnny Gills.
Okay.
You know, so she was like, look, it'll really get people a chance to know who you are, for those who don't know, and also, you know, to separate me and Joe. People still get us confused, man. So hopefully, by seeing this story, they'll be able to see that I'm me and Joe's Joe.
Right. So how long did this whole thing take from the first day they started following you guys around until it was a wrap?
It was a while, man. I mean, it was a while before they, you know, they even got into filming. And what I did was I probably did something that no one else in the history of Unsung had done. I had went through my entire life and wrote paragraphs of my entire life from the day I was born, you know, to right now, right? Mm-hmm. And I also put certain stories in there that I thought would be significant to the piece, and I also put the names of the people who to talk to about those stories. You know, I'm very anal, man. I try to be very thorough. And then I gave them a list of all the names I think the people they should talk to. I gave the email address, their phone numbers, and I also gave them the relationship and how long I knew that person, when I met them, and when I stopped, you know, being friends. So it was very extensive, man. I should have got co-producer credit on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's a lot of work, man.
Yeah, right, man. That's just me, man. I wanted them to tell the story and tell it right. You know what I mean? Because you know, sometimes when somebody's telling your story, they don't have all the facts and they piece stuff together. Yeah. So I was going to make sure that I didn't leave anything out.
Yeah. So did you talk about the radio years, man?
About the radio years. I did that too. I put your name in there, Tammy's name in there. Yeah. If they want the radio years, I put the years I did radio. I put all that in there. I did it was like an 8-page piece I put together.
For those who don't know, Guy did a radio show with me and Tammy Holland in St. Louis on KMJM for many, it was about 4 years, 3 years, something like that.
Yeah, about 3 years. About 3 years.
Yeah, and he did it for most of the time he was in L.A. Through technology. We'd have to wake him up sometimes because used to do this comedy show every Tuesday night. You did that for like 8 years, and it was how long?
It went on for 10 years.
Yeah, and you did it for like 10 years, and it was like the biggest thing on a Tuesday night in L.A. Comedy-wise, and you'd be out there, you know, 3 o'clock in the morning, you'd be getting home, and of course at 3 o'clock your time is 5 o'clock our time, so you'd have to come on, and it was.
Yeah. And I was shooting a movie. I'd leave. Yeah. I'd leave from doing 4 hours with, you know, of the radio show with you guys, and then I'd go straight to a movie set.
Yeah.
So I was burning the kettle at both ends, man. I feel pretty covered down, man.
Yeah.
Damn.
Well, you know, man, you do what you got to do when you got to do it. So.
Absolutely. I was married at the time too, man. So you know, it was, you know, a happy wife is a happy life.
Yeah. So did you talk to your wife about this Unsung?
No, you know what? I didn't put her in it.
Okay.
I didn't. She's not an on-camera person.
Okay.
Monica is always behind the scenes. She's always been kind of shy.
Sure.
But what I did was I did tell her that they were doing the piece. I knew they're gonna cover the marriage, and I said, "Don't worry about it. I'm not gonna say anything negative about you." And she said, and she basically was like, "I know you. I know you're not that type of guy."
Yeah.
So that was real cool, man. But I wasn't gonna do that. I wasn't gonna throw her under the bus. Now Joe's a different story. One bus, no waiting.
Yeah, I got you. So now to go back though, I mean, when the comedy bug hit the Torry family, Joe was the first one, right?
Right.
Joe went out to LA first and pursued a comedy career. And so while he was doing that, what were you doing?
I was in college. I was a freshman at Southeast Missouri State, and then before I got kicked out.
You got kicked out, man?
Not only did I get kicked out of Southeast Missouri State, I got kicked out of the whole town.
What did you do?
They told me I couldn't come within 100 miles of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. only 9 miles out of St. Louis. So
wow.
Too far up Interstate 55, I was in violation. But I take a roundabout route to Memphis. But I hit a cop, man. You know, my grades weren't that great, and you know, I ended up hitting a cop. This was way before Rodney King. But yeah, I laid him out pretty good, man, and yeah, I got in trouble for that.
Oh, okay. So you got kicked out of school for hitting a cop. What did your folks say when that happened, man?
They didn't know.
They didn't know?
I just told them I flunked out. So I go to the local community college.
Wow. And to this day, they don't know? Well, I mean, your dad's passed away, but I mean.
That's my sister Roberta ratted on me. Because she was the only one who knew. She's the one that kind of bailed me out a little bit.
Okay.
So, and she, you know, she can't hold water. So they probably knew.
Yeah. Well, you know. So then after that, you were just hanging out, and you decided to pursue comedy too? I mean,
I worked, man. I went and worked for different department stores. Grandpa's there in St. Louis, which was a local small chain. I worked for a drug emporium. I worked at the WIC office, you know, Women, Everything, Children. That was my main gig. That's my full-time job. And I worked at sound warehouses, you know, selling CDs and videos and records and stuff, man. So I always kept a lot of jobs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, after a while, man, it was just like, you know what, you know, when Def Comedy Jam came on, man, I was like, I saw people I could identify with doing stand-up. From Martin to my brother to Eddie Griffin. And I was like, wow, let me try that. I used to go watch, you know, Cedric the Entertainer.
Yeah.
And before he moved out there, before I started doing stand-up, I used to watch the Val Crawford.
Yeah.
You know, those guys do stand-up, man. And I still kind of didn't know it was really a job until really kind of Def Jam hit and Joe started making money at it. And I said, you know what? Let me move to LA. And I really moved to LA to finish my marketing degree. I was going to go to college. And I got bit by the comedy bug, man, and went on stage, and man, I never looked back.
Wow. Man. Now, we're talking over the course of how many years that this has been going on since you went to L.A. to now. It's been how many years?
Things happen quick, man. I moved to L.A. in 1992. I taped Def Comedy Jam in 1994. That's 2 years of doing stand-up.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But I hit the stages every night. Like, the thing that Joe did do for me was he allowed me to live with him rent-free, and he was like, as long as you're working on your craft, don't worry about it. And that took a ton of pressure off of me. You know what I mean? So I was grinding every night, 2 and 3 times on a stage, 6 or 7 nights a week, man, writing it during the day. And you know, I was a PA on the Martin Show. That's my other gig that I got. You know, I became a PA on the Martin Show, and that was my full-time gig. And I go to comedy clubs at night and on the weekends. And I just grinded. So after 2 years doing stand-up, Bob Sumner, who booked every comic ever seen on Def Jam, was like, man, you told Joe, man, your brother's ready. And I was like, cool. So on Def Jam, man, after 2 years doing stand-up, then I did the tour. So things happen really, really quick, man.
So the PA thing, PA stands for?
Production assistant, you're a gopher.
Now, how does somebody get that job?
Well, there's several ways to do it, but you got to know somebody. That's the business, man.
Yeah.
And because Joe and Martin Lawrence were friends, he's like, hey, my little brother in town, can you get his little Negro a job? So what did that? How much does that pay, man? Is that? I was getting paid $400 to $500 a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which would be great in a town like St. Louis, but in L.A., that's.
You're right. I mean, but because I didn't have rent to pay.
Yeah.
You know, it really helped me out, and that was a big plus. I mean, my car was paid for. We really didn't have cell phones back then. It just pagers. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I didn't really have a lot of bills. Joe paid all the bills in the crib. I would buy groceries every once in a while. And I was just, I just needed gas money and a little bit of food, and I was good, man.
You were living the life.
I was living the life, man. Joe be out of town.
Yeah.
I pushed his whip. He had an Audi, so I was pushing his whip. I had a hoopty, man. But yeah, man, I was wearing Joe's clothes. He had better clothes than me.
Well, Joe been out. He'd been at it a little while longer though. So
yeah. He was already hosting Def Comedy Jam. He already done Poetic Justice. So he had some credits on his belt.
Yeah.
So after a while, man, after doing that, man, I had a decision to make. Was would I go back to the production assistant job, or quit and take my hand at comedy and try to go full time with it, which I did. And that was like the biggest decision that I made after moving to LA. Was like, wow, let me see if I can sustain a life on just doing stand up alone.
Right.
And then everything else happens. You get a manager. Your manager helps you get an agent. You get an agent, start going on auditions. You start, going on for TV shows and movies. You book something, and then the ball starts rolling.
But you took it to a degree that a lot of stand-ups, I don't know if it's fair to even say a lot of stand-ups don't do, but you actually were getting hired to punch up scripts for sitcoms and stuff like that.
Yeah, when I was on Martin, man, I was on the Martin show. As being a production assistant, man. I was, you know me, Tony. I crack on everybody. I have I don't care.
Right.
So I was always on the set, cracking on my coworkers, cracking on the writers, cracking on the cast with, Gina and Tisha Campbell, Tashina, and all those guys, Carl Payne, and then so the writers started coming out of the writers' room to get jokes from me to put in the script. So actually doing punch up and wasn't getting paid, and then there's one guy named Matt Diamond who's a Jewish writer's assistant. Was writing the script for the Martin show, and he asked me if it was funny or not. And I said, man, that ain't funny. And I gave him a new joke. Said, well, let's write one together. So we wrote one together, and then we submitted it, and it got produced. So I ended up writing an episode on the Martin show, which is another phenomenon because I did comedy for 2 years, then did Def Comedy Jam, then did the tour. I was a PA for 1 year, and the very next year I was writing the script, and that doesn't happen.
No, that's what I'm saying. It isn't that path doesn't happen. It doesn't happen a lot.
No, man, it's kind of crazy. So it's a blessing, I'll tell you that, man. And a lot of the stuff I didn't study for. Like, I didn't study acting. I mean, I didn't take comedy classes. I didn't take writing classes. It's just like, survival. When your bills got to be paid, man, your back is against the wall. Sometimes when you're young and naive, you don't know any better.
Yeah.
So, things happen. And I'm always trying to be a sponge anyway and absorb everything, man. So the fact that, I was able to get in there and keep pace with everybody else was a blessing, and just amazing to me, man. So, things started happening, and my career started taking off. I started Fat Tuesdays, my comedy night, which was a great showcase for not only me, but a lot of other comedians. And that's where I got a lot of my roles in TV shows and movies too. And my name out there was like, oh, okay, Guy Torry is really no longer in his brother's shadow.
Right. Right, and Guy Torry also wasn't just doing comedy, because I remember doing comedic roles, because I remember being at home one night and I was working on the show, but the TV was on, and I heard this voice go, hey, and I don't know what you said, but you were on NYPD Blue, you were in the jail cell.
Most of the roles I've gotten in my career have been either a prisoner, homeless, or a crackhead, which means you're not that attractive. Well, I'm the attractively challenged roles. So yeah, I've been in a lot of prisons and a lot of I very rarely have I been the leading man, a sex symbol at women. So, but hey, that check still spins.
It's same thing though. But your brother he did the Cinemax thing for a minute. That
Ooh, man, that whole thing, man, Cinemax.
Yeah.
Like Joe is a very talented actor too. When he did ER, man, his role in ER that season, I was blown away by his dramatic skills. And I was like, wow. But I don't know what happened. Somewhere along the line, I think Joe, honestly, his head got a little bit too big. Mm-hmm. And the thing about Joe is that what I envy is his arrogance. And
you envy his arrogance.
I'll tell you why, because he's fearless a lot of times. Mm-hmm. But what that hurts him is that I don't think the prep is there. The preparation is there. You know what I mean? Like I'm not as fearless when it comes to attacking, certain projects. So I prepare like crazy. because I want to be sure that I know what I'm doing.
Right.
Whereas Joe would go in blindly and rely on his ego.
But that works. That works for him, though.
It does. But just think how much better he could be if he had the confidence and the work ethic.
So, have y'all had that conversation?
You can't talk to Joe. Talk to Joe, man. Ain't no talking to him. He's never wrong.
Yeah.
It's never his fault, and he can do anything, and he knows everything.
Yeah.
So you can't talk to somebody like that. So I gave up.
Yeah.
I gave up. And the thing about it is, you know, his career should be honestly in a different place. But I just think, you know, the work ethic, just wasn't there at sometimes.
Yeah. Well,
I think he relied on raw talent, and that can only take you so far. I mean, you look at guys like Michael Jordan, you know, and Kobe Bryant, you know, Michael Jordan got cut from his high school team.
Sure.
But he went and worked. Even though he had natural ability, he didn't rely on just his natural ability. Same thing with Kobe. And what made me realize that was Vince Carter. Vince Carter, when he left the Toronto Raptors and went to New Jersey, he said, "Man, I never really worked on my game other than, you know, just dunking." He said, "I realized I was just going off of natural ability, and I never really worked on my game in offseason." Once he started working on other parts of his game, he even got better. But by that time, you know, he's a little long in the tooth.
Yeah.
Feel like he's still in the league today and still a very effective player. But had he always worked on his game from the beginning, he could have been mentioned the same breath with Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, those guys like that.
You think he had those skills?
Who, Vince Carter?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
But sometimes, man, same thing with Allen Iverson. Look at Allen Iverson, who was just at natural ability, but in the offseason, he never worked on his game. And that's the only thing that his coach was trying to get him to do was like, look, when you're in the offseason, the way you play, you got to work on your body, build your muscle up, work on your game so you won't get hurt, you won't get injured so much. So, I mean, getting back to me and Joe, I studied the game a lot. Mm-hmm. So what I would do was, I mean, when I lived with Joe, when Joe would be downstairs, you know, smoking weed with DJ Quick and Jada Pinkett and all them, you know, playing dominoes, I was always up in my room. I had VHS tapes of talk shows, you know, of Martin and Will Smith and Eddie Murphy. So when I got there, I know how to act on a talk show. Or I'd get videotapes of somebody stuttering or somebody with an accent. So I'd study. So if I ever got a role and I need to play a Jamaican accent or I need to stutter, I would know how to do it.
Right.
Sorry about that.
It's all right, man.
But so, I mean, that's basically how my work ethic is. Whereas, like, that's why I said I envy Joe's arrogance. I wish I had that arrogance that I could do it mixed with the preparation and the work.
Right. I got you. So it's going to be a 1 hour, 2 hour special. What is this?
I think it's 1 hour. I wish they would have, like I said, I wish they would have done it separate, one on me and one on Joe, and then maybe tie it in at the end.
Yeah.
Because it's in this short 24-year career, man,
short 24-year career. That says it all.
Yeah, for 24 years it's hard, but I've done so much,
right.
And I don't mean like all these accolades. I'm just saying, from the writing to the stand-up to the tours to the TV to the movies to running my own club to running my own comedy night, co-owning a comedy club, all of that in a 24-year span, man, it's like nuts.
Yeah. You've done a lot, man.
Yeah, and not to mention doing radio.
Right.
So you throw all those things. I've done everything except slept with somebody for a role.
But you know what? But you're still doing. What are you doing now? You're still doing stand-up comedy. You're still going all around the country.
I'm still on the road 40 weekends a year. 40 weeks a year I'm gone. The Unsung is coming out. I just pitched my special to shoot my comedy special. I got an investor interested in that. My documentary is almost done, which I've been working on for 3 years, which I'm glad that's coming to completion. So I'm trying to work behind the scenes more. As you get fat, old, and ugly like me, you got the camera don't lie, man. Yeah. So you gotta find ways to make money behind the scenes. And plus, even the sports stuff. I would love to be on a sports show.
But you're doing an internet radio show now, right?
Yeah, I do an internet radio show right now.
Now what's that about?
That's a show we do every Monday night, 7 p.m. West Coast time, And what it is we have unsigned artists submit their music to us ahead of time. We tell them when they're going to be on. They promote it. We play it on the show, and we critique it. We're like American Idol. You know, we critique it, good or bad. We don't pull any punches. And we try to help artists just get their music out there, get their social media out there. It doesn't cost them a thing, just a couple of tweets and posts, and we all good, man. But it's fun because doing radio with you in St. Louis, I miss that. I love doing radio. So this is kind of like my radio in a way. Yeah. Even though I tour and I do radio stations all across the country when I'm doing my shows, but not as a regular on one station. You come see me here at a certain time. It's just the magic of the radio is just still so powerful. Yeah.
Well, you know what? You were great on the radio. I mean, we had you.
I had a great teacher, man. Again, I didn't study journalism like you did and go to school and know everything. But so again, I jumped in and was a sponge and observed. And, you know, the things I took from you was basically about prep, you know, being prepared before that mic comes on, being over prepared. Yeah. Because you never know what's going to happen. True. You know, on songs, you got to talk for 4 hours, then you better have 4 hours worth of stuff to talk about.
This is true. This is so true. Yeah.
And then again, you know, if some crisis happened, you know, in the world, like a 9/11 crisis, you know, you got to be professional enough to be able to handle that situation in a way. And I've seen you handle certain situations where it's like, wow, okay, he handled that well, because you never know, you know, how people are going to take it, how it's going to affect people. So I just always was a sponge, man.
Yeah, you've always like been a quick study too. So that's a good thing too. So what is it that Guy Torry wants to do that he hasn't done yet?
Oh man, there's still so much more, man. I still want to direct. You know, I still want to produce a project, like produce a film, produce a TV show. Those are the main things right now. I still want to, you know, I still love acting. There's some roles out there I still want to play, man. I still want, like, my very own sitcom. I've been on sitcoms, but I want my sitcom. I just wrote a script called Committophobic, and I'm pitching that. Hey, I'm committed.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys that are committophobic.
Exactly. So that whole thing, man, that's what almost every comic wants, your own sitcom. Mm-hmm. You know, and a successful one. But not one that just make you laugh, but one that actually helping people along the way. So it's kind of a different type of sitcom where I play a relationship counselor / stand-up comic who can't get his own stuff right. Mm-hmm. But he's the Dr. Phil to everybody else. You know what I'm saying? He's the Cliff Huxtable without the pills and the drinks. Or doing the counseling and stuff or whatever.
So the whole Bill Cosby thing, man. Do you think? What do you think? Do you think he's guilty 38 times, or do you think
a lot? Maybe not 38, but I think he's guilty. Where there's smoke, there's fire, and it's sad because he's one of my comedy heroes. He's on my comedy Mount Rushmore, and you know what? I don't know if it was consensual or not, but I mean, I'll be honest. I'm willing to think that, some women got the okie doke went on. You know what I mean?
Right.
Come on. I mean, all those women can't be lying. All those women can't, corroborate their story and get together and say, hey, I just think that I don't. When smoke, there's fire.
Do you think it was a conspiracy to ruin him?
I wouldn't be surprised. This business is treacherous, man. Yeah. And it could have been. I mean, there's conspiracy theories out there about before when he tried to buy NBC and his son ended up getting murdered and around that time. And it could be. It could be, man. I mean, this business is no joke, man.
Yeah, it's not for the weak-hearted, that's for sure.
Man, I'm telling you right now, it's not. You better have thick skin in this business. I done heard so many times that I'm not good looking enough. I'm not black enough. I'm too black. I'm too street. I'm not street enough. You're too short. You're too tall. You're not lead man. You're lead man, but no one knows you. I mean, I've heard it all, man. And to take that beat down, you got to have thick skin, man. Yeah. It is. And I'm a man. I can't imagine what the women go through out in this. You got to have really thick skin. You got to be Hillary Clinton. You got to be able to take all that crap and still keep standing and just, hide your emails.
Yeah, I guess you do.
I tell women all the time, especially black women that's trying to get into the business, I tell them, I'm going to get you straight, no chasing. It's tough. Mm-hmm. and you got to be able to survive without selling your soul or your whole. And that works for men and women. So you got to be able to swim in these waters, man. And be able to look at yourself in the morning, man. And that's the thing. And you look yourself in the morning, the next morning, like, there's certain roles I won't take, you know. I'm not going to be a buffoon. I'm not going to coon. You know, I'm not skilled enough to play feminine roles, so I don't play those feminine roles. I'm not wired that way. I wish I was that talented, maybe to play those characters, but I'm not wired that way. So I refuse to take that role from somebody who can do it better than me. And I'm glad there's people who can do it better than me. But, you know, I've gotten in this, I've stayed in this business for 24 years without compromising who I am and having integrity and saying no and you know, and doing it the right way.
Right. Now you, a lot of people may have forgotten or didn't know that you were like the fifth Beatle with the Kings of Comedy. You were like the fifth. You were like the fifth guy. You were like Billy Preston was. You know, they always considered Billy Preston as the fifth Beatle.
Fifth Beatle, right?
And that was like a compliment. And it's kind of like was the same for you with the Kings of Comedy, because you opened like a lot of those dates.
Well, the first tour, man, it was myself, Bernie Mac, Cedric, and Steve Harvey. I was a host, and I was only 5 years in the game. You know, Kings of Comedy, I was 5 to 6 years in the game. I started in 92. We started the first tour December 97 and toured all of 98. So I was still not young. I was still not even a comedian. I was still just a comic back then.
Yeah.
And I learned so much from those guys, man. Watching those guys every night go on stage and just destroy. I saw 3 comedians, and I was a comic. And the difference between a comic and a comedian is a comic says funny things. A comedian makes things funny. So those guys would destroy every night, man. And I left the tour. I was on BET Tonight with Tavis Smiley. We all were on there. And I said, man, I'm leaving the tour. I need to get an act. And I went to the clubs because I hadn't played the club circuit like I did now. I was just doing one-nighters here and there. But, you know, I needed to become a comedian. So I needed to, like, I was like that what is it? In a cocoon. What's the before butterflies? Before you turn into the butterfly, you're
you're a worm or something. I don't know. It's like you're a caterpillar. Yeah. But then I need to spread my wings, man, and become a well-rounded comedian. Yeah. So leaving that tour allowed me to do that. Now, I regret it sometimes because they all blew up, but they were deserving because those are guys that have been in comedy at least 15 to 20 years. I was only 5, 6 years in the game. And then when I left, they brought DL in, rightfully so. And, you know, Steve went to hosting instead of closing the show, and the rest was history. So we just did a reunion show that airs on the 14th on the Steve Harvey Show. And I was just, man, flattered that Steve Harvey requested me. Wow.
When they were putting this show together and they did a tribute to Bernie Mac, the producer told me, like, Steve said, make sure we have Guy on the show. He was the original host. And I was just overjoyed with that. Man.
Yeah. I mean, you know, back in the day when, you know, those comedians would come through and you know, it was always like an easy day for me because I would just go 8:25 and then just let y'all go and we'd be right back and then you know, be one of those things, and I just didn't, you know, I didn't work hard when y'all came to town.
You'll be surprised, or probably not, at how many on-air jocks don't have that gift, because I do radio. Like I said, I'm on the road 40 weeks a year. I do at least 3 to 4 radio stations a week. And there's so many jocks out there, man, that just don't know how to be a jock. They don't know how to get out the way. But at the same time, there's so many comedians out there who don't know how to do morning radio, who don't know how to do radio at all. Yeah. It's morning time, you know, they don't want to get up, the energy's low, but you're grumpy and you're not funny. And it's like, dude, you know, if you don't want to do radio, then sell out before you get there. Otherwise, shut the hell up, go in, do radio, because what's happening is they're ruining it for guys like me who love doing radio. Right. Because now radio stations like, they're reluctant to have a comic on. Because a comic come in ill-prepared, not funny, sleepy, curse on the air, and it's like, man, now that radio station banned that club from coming on. So now you hitting my pockets now. Right. Those are tickets I could sell. So, you know, just like we have jocks that are lazy and don't do their thing, there are comedians who have ruined it too. Wow. All right. Well, there you go. That's Guy. Now, Guy, let me ask you, man. I always wanted to ask you this. What do you think you would have done
for a career if it wasn't comedy?
I probably would have been Beyonce's thong. I would have. That's a role I wish I could have just been her thong. You know, just it would have been hot and sweaty. It would have been a hairy situation.
Or not.
I don't know, man. I mean, like I said, man, I liked sales. I was working in the WIC office. I probably could still be at the WIC office and slanging breast milk.
What was that you used to say about all the milks and stuff? And
women, infants, and children. The WIC is the program for women, infants, and children. It was created by the government, Republicans actually, to bring healthier babies into the community. A mom can qualify medically or financially. Once a baby is born, we provide 31 cans of formula a month. Similac or Infamil, unless your baby is lactose intolerant, then it's Prosorbia ice meal, a sweet acidophilus. Breastfeeding, unless the mom is anemic or a crackhead.
Isn't it amazing how some things just stay with you, man?
Man, that was my spiel, man.
That was crazy. That was
24 years ago.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, the Unsung episode is going to air Wednesday night, November 9th, and then again on the 13th. 11th. I'm sorry. Yeah, the 11th. That Friday night on TV One. So set your DVRs or watch it in live when it comes on. Either way, it's going to be an entertaining hour of you and your brother Joe, and just awesome, man.
It's going to be reveal a lot, man. I look back on it, man. I'm like, man, I hope they just edit it right. I hope they do it to where,
So you haven't seen it yet?
I saw a very, very early rough cut.
Okay.
But then it didn't have the voiceover in yet. It wasn't edited. So, I'm having a small get together. I didn't want to. Joe wanted to do something together, like a big viewing party. I didn't want to do it with Joe. I did. He asked me like 6 times. Like, nah, I'm good. Don't you Joe Torry. You go do it. You like and the muscles and you do it. That's all you, bro.
All right. Well, good talk, man. Appreciate it so much, man.
Appreciate you, man. Always, man. And people follow me on my social media handles at Guy Torry, GUYTORRY, and Apollo.LA every Monday night.
All right, there you go. That's Guy Torry. Thanks so much for watching.
Appreciate you, man.